What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Nicky Phenom. I'm a singer-songwriter who has dared to dream and is now working in an attempt to capture that dream. I created this channel not only to share my original music, but also to document my journey along the way, share some of my own personal experiences in hopes that it'll help inspire, motivate, and educate you and others like us so that we can grow together as artists. So a question that I get asked a lot is, how did I get started in my music journey? How did it all begin for Nicky Phenom? So in this video, I'm going to answer that question. Okay, so it all started at a Christmas family gathering at my mother-in-law's house at the time. We were celebrating the holidays, of course, and my mother-in-law had an older school, karaoke machine that she kept and she always put out, but nobody ever dared to use it. So I had a feeling and just said, go with it. So I can't remember all the details, but I'm pretty sure it was like an Elvis-style Christmas song that I was singing, and my mother-in-law was in the other room, mind you, and she overhears me and says, Nick, is that you singing? Now, at that moment, I didn't know whether to be embarrassed or be proud of myself. It was kind of one of those things, like, and I was like, yeah, it's me singing. And she says, wow, you sound pretty good. Guys, that right there, that little bit, just those few words was enough to boost my confidence and ignite this curiosity to, wonder and want to know. Like, I wanted to continue to unveil this undiscovered hidden talent that I had. Because now in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm a good singer, maybe? And so there you go. I went from that moment. I was actually, let me mention that my brother-in-law was also, of course, there at this time. And he was a good guitarist. He could play guitar really well. And he can sing. In fact, he can sing better than I can. He just has much better ear than I do. But what happened was, after this day, he started coming over to my house, and we would set up in the garage, and we would just play. He would play guitar, and I would sing a few select songs, and we just had fun doing that. And that also boosted my confidence, because the fact that he kept coming back meant that I didn't sound so bad, and just kind of reinforced what my mother-in-law had said. And so that was a confidence boost for me, and I wanted to keep pushing forward with singing. So let that first part of my story there, let that be a lesson that just something so seemingly insignificant as just hearing a compliment, okay? Somebody's words was enough to ignite that flame for me to continue doing what I do, and played a part in where I am today now in my musical journey. So think about that. A Christmas karaoke is where it started. Okay, so now my brother-in-law had been coming over for a while now. It became like a thing. He'd come over and play his guitar. I would sing. We'd record ourselves a little bit, and it was all in good fun, and we were having a blast doing it. But things got really interesting when my wife brought home a ukulele. So I have always been interested in playing a musical instrument, but I never did because I was actually very intimidated, and didn't think that I had what it took to learn. To be honest with you, it always looked complicated, and it was just maybe too much for me to handle. And of course, sometimes you have those doubts in the back of your mind, like I could never do that, I could never learn, or I could never be very good at it, anyways. So I always kind of shied away from that. But when my wife brought home this ukulele, it's kind of a weird it was kind of a weird thing. So I remember telling her that I always thought ukuleles were kind of cool, and if I were going to attempt to learn one, it would have been a ukulele. She claims that she brought the ukulele home for my son, because she thought it was something nice for him to be able to learn. It was like a gift for him. But I just thought it was weird because I was like, man, I've mentioned this to you so many times before. I really thought she had bought it originally as a gift for me, but supposedly it was for my son, who unfortunately he didn't really pick it up. It wasn't really something that interested him. So I took it and started learning to play it. And although, like I mentioned, I was intimidated by it, here it was. It's right in front of me. It's in my house, right? It's ready to be used. I'm not going to let it just sit there. So I get on YouTube, right, where you go and you can learn just about anything, right? So I get on there and I learn some basic chords, some strumming patterns, and just beginner stuff, just to kind of get me going. And having that ukulele and learning some of the basic stuff about it was another game changer. Now, the reason I'm mentioning the ukulele is because it played a pretty significant role in this story. So, learning to play the ukulele actually helped with my confidence as a performer, and boosted my ability as a singer as well. When you're playing the chords and hearing them at the same time, in that exact moment, I feel like I could sing better in the sense that I could stay in tune with the songs that I was singing. Okay, because mind you, I don't have any real prior experience of singing. I wasn't a little kid, that some people have been singing all their lives or whatever. I didn't have a naturally good ear either. So I want to make that really clear. I wouldn't consider myself really a natural singer. Okay. I've had to work really hard to get where I'm at. And even now, I would say there's still challenges that I deal with when it comes to singing. But having this ukulele, like I said, playing the chord and hearing it at the same moment, same time, helped me to stay in tune when I was singing along with certain songs. So, I always recommend, if you can pick up an instrument and learn it, do it. Learn an instrument. Now that I've learned some basics on the ukulele, and I've been playing for a little while now, and I've been singing, right? It's kind of been a confidence boost, and it's been, I've had some experience, even though it's just there at my house, really, and at little family events, in front of friends or whatever. Now, I have a buddy who's telling me that you should go and do just a small gig somewhere. And I was like, really? I couldn't believe that. I was like, I couldn't imagine really doing that, right? Because of course at that moment, at that time, I don't think I'm good enough to go perform for an audience. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing crazy stuff on the ukulele. I wasn't an advanced player. Heck, I wasn't even probably an intermediate player. I was, I couldn't solo or do all these little, different things with it. I was just basic strumming and knew some chords and could play along with some songs. Okay. And of course, again, my singing wasn't incredible. Okay. I didn't really consider myself to be a great singer, just, pretty good singer, But my friend insisted that I do some gig. He was like, man, he goes, I love listening to you play. And he goes, I think you could, you should do this and just, see what happens. So he talks me into it. I'm like, you know what? Sure. Let's see what we can do. How am I going to get a gig? It just so happened that he was friendly with this manager of a local coffee shop. And so he hooks me up with this gig. I'm scared to death, mind you, because of course I don't want to embarrass myself. I'm thinking, oh man, what if I sing out of tune? What if I hit a wrong chord? What if these people in the audience don't, really like my performance? I was just worried and scared to get embarrassed, because of course, now I'm not playing for, a couple of, friends or a couple of family members at some little, event, and I'm definitely not going to be in my garage anymore in the privacy of my own home. This is out in a public place of business with strangers coming in and out, you know what I mean? But let me say this. It's okay to be afraid. I'm always afraid. And I've been doing this for several years now. But I'm always afraid. I'm always nervous before a show. It's just the way I'm built. The thing is, I never let that fear or that doubt or that anxiety keep me from doing the things that I really want to do when I really wanted to do them. And I think that's something important to mention, because I'm sure a lot of people have that fear and have that self-doubt, which is probably one of the reasons they never get started on following their own, dreams, or, getting started as, a singer or, musician or whatever. So I just want to kind of put that out there, that it's okay to be afraid, guys. It's okay if you're afraid or scared or doubtful or feeling a little embarrassed. Just, you're going to have to get past that. Just don't let that control you and keep you from doing the things that you really want to do, if you really, truly want to do them. Okay? All right, so I play the show, and it ended up being like a 2-hour gig. And it was a success in my book. I had a lot of friends and family there that showed up. There was a lot of people that came into the coffee shop that, stuck around to see my performance. I don't remember having any significant, mess ups there or hiccups while I was there. Although I'm sure probably they did happen. But nothing significant or nothing too noticeable, right? Nothing that ruined the show. It all went really well. I was received well. The coffee shop gained a lot of business from it. I gained a pretty nice, hefty amount of tips, which was pretty cool. I had a lot of people coming up afterwards and giving me a pat on the back, telling me good job, and they loved the performance. They had a good time. It was great. And in that moment, during that show, and afterwards, hearing all those praises and seeing the crowd that had gathered around to watch me perform, I got to say, that was probably my first kind of like a rock star moment, like where you just feel like a rock star. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm at a coffee shop, right? I'm playing a ukulele. Okay, it's not, to some of you guys, it may not be a big deal, but it was an accomplishment that I was very pleased with and very proud of. I was proud of myself for what I had done. And I got to say, that was really like my aha moment. That's when I really realized this is what I want to do. I was overwhelmed by this feeling of like joy and happiness and excitement and accomplishment. You can say I had that I was bitten by the bug, I guess, right? I felt incredible. And I knew that I wanted to feel that again. And that's when I made the decision right then and there that I want to continue this down this path, and I want to pursue a career in music. Okay, so I've had the coffee shop gig now. I know I want to pursue a career in music. Where do I go from there? Well, good old Craigslist is where I went. and I know on that site, you never really know what you're going to get. I mean, heck, you can go and meet somebody off there and, end up getting, killed or something. So it's a little risky. It's a little shady, right? But it's also got a lot of people there who actually, have real ads who are in need of things or whatever. So I went on there and I was searching for anything that had to do with someone needing like a singer or a vocalist. And I ended up finding a lot of like ads from like bands or people who were, trying to form bands, and they were looking, for singers. And so that's when I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to audition for some of these groups, and I am determined that I am going to be a singer in a band. So now I'm sending in like, demos of myself that I had recorded. Some of, just myself playing, and some of me and my brother-in-law when we were playing before in my garage. And I was sending those things out, hoping to, see if I can get some bites, right, and get some callbacks. And although I had gotten a few, there are two in particular that I want to tell you about. The first one was a couple of guys that were looking to form a band, and I think they were kind of interested in like doing like a top 40s thing. It was just a guitarist and a drummer at the time. But mind you, these guys have had like 20 plus years experience. Okay. These were like little, older gentlemen. And, so they hear my demo and they're like, hey, come on in, let's just have like a jam session and kind of get a feel, of things and, check out the vibes and see if we mesh well together, see where it goes. So I go, and it didn't go poorly. It just didn't go well, like that well, I guess. So let me explain. They liked the sound of my voice. They liked how expressive I was, when I was singing on the mic. And I believe they liked kind of the vibes I was giving off. They saw that I was an easygoing guy, that I was passionate about this, I was determined, and that I really had an interest in working with them. And I want to throw that out there, by the way. Having a kind heart, good personality, that likability, and being respectful, that stuff goes a long way, guys. Okay, and I'll explain that more, how that kind of intertwines in this story as I go. So like I said, things didn't go all that well. They liked my voice. Like I said, they liked the vibes that I was giving. But the problem was I didn't really know the songs that they were hoping to perform, I guess. They were songs that they considered to be, standard songs. Again, I think it was like they were trying to do like a top 40s thing, and I mean, I recognized the songs, I knew of them, but I didn't really know a lot of them like word for word, and in fact, I didn't know even most of the lyrics or some of the lyrics really. You know what I mean? That was kind of like a big issue. So I tried to read, some of the lyrics. I pulled it up on my phone, trying to read them and sing at the same time, and just that, it was already like uncomfortable for me to be trying to read, and remember how the song goes, and singing and kind of giving them like a little performance, right? So that was a kind of an issue, not knowing the songs. The other thing was too is that I struggled with some of the songs. I wasn't able to necessarily hit some of the notes in these songs, and so that's also another problem, because of course I have to be able to perform the songs, and I have to sing them the way they're sung, right? So that was a big issue. In the end of that jam session, I remember the guitarist, he tells me, he's like, dude, these are pretty standard songs, dude. Like, you should know these songs. With that said, I was a little discouraged. I was a little disappointed, but I understood. I totally, understood what he was saying. I get it, right? I just wasn't quite what they were looking for. Not to mention, he also, made it a point to tell me that, I didn't really have a lot of experience, really. I had trouble hitting the notes. Like I said, that's, the big, that's another problem. So I was really determined. And, with that, I said, look, I get it. I think that if you were to let me take this list of songs, go home and give me like a week or so, I'll come back here and we can do this again. And then you guys can let me know what you think. With that, he gave me like a little chuckle, right? He goes, really? He's like, dude, that's a lot of songs to learn, dude. He says it in a way where he's just like, sure, buddy, but there's no way you're going to learn all these things. There's no way. And you know what? He was right. It's a lot of freaking songs. I think he had like a list of like 30 probably or so. But like I said, I was determined to do this. I believed that I could do this. So I went home and I started practicing the songs. I started, my thing was just good old fashioned, drilling the songs. Okay. I was listening to them as much as possible. If I went out walking or somewhere, I had my headphones in, listening to the songs. If I was driving somewhere, I was listening to the songs. If I was at home, of course, I'm listening to the songs. I'm also, I like to write out the lyrics to like the first couple of words or the first lines of each verse. Just that helps kick it off for me and jogs my memory as I'm learning the lyrics right there. Okay, that helps a lot. And then I also like to shut off all the music and just sing the words out loud, just the words, just my voice only. And that was also, real helpful for me. That's what I like to do to learn. So all that combined really helped me out a lot in this scenario. So I go back and I give it another go. And I was able to impress them with how fast I learned the songs. Now, don't get me wrong. I did not learn all of those songs, word for word. But what I did do was learn quite a few songs. And I learned most, if not all, the lyrics to each of those songs. And it was way more than they thought I could do. And so basically, I impressed them with how quickly I learned and how determined I was to learn them and to show that I could do this if they went, if they would give me a shot. And so that alone right there, along with, likability, okay, my personality, that was enough to win them over. And they decided that, wow, you know what? we would like to keep working with you, and we'd like you to keep coming, come back a few more times just to kind of continue to get this, this feel and hopefully, mesh together. And I did. I went back a few times, and eventually they decided that I was going to be their front man. So there you go. No experience. Didn't know the words very well to, standard songs. Couldn't hit all the notes. And yet, here I am, the front man. The band was called Crossfire Hurricane. In time, as we went on, we ended up becoming a Rolling Stones tribute band. So now I'm the front man for Crossfire Hurricane, and we go out and do some shows here and there. Not a lot. It didn't last for, years or anything, but I had my fair share of shows. And we had a blast. We had a great time doing it. It was a great experience. I'm super happy to have done it. And out of that, one of my biggest accomplishments, we ended up playing for the Hard Rock Hotel at Daytona Beach. The radio station was there at the 95.7. The Hog was there covering the event. It ended up being a sold-out show. It was freaking awesome. I loved it. We were right there on the beach, big stage, a lot of people. It was like a big deal. We had a dressing room. It was really freaking cool, man. That's one of my most memorable things about having been in that band. We actually got invited back to perform again there at the Hard Rock, but unfortunately, every time the dates that we were scheduled, it always ended up being bad weather, and so we kept getting we would be canceled. The show would be canceled after we had already made the drive out there and we're setting up and we're ready to go, and then all of a sudden this crazy storm would hit, and we tried to wait for it to die down, and it was just really bad. And so we canceled it. They rescheduled us to come out again. And you know what? I don't know, bad luck, I guess. We got hit by another storm same day, and we had to cancel it. And unfortunately, we just never rescheduled to go back out there again. But hey, look, made it to the Hard Rock. An unbelievable, memorable experience. So while I was with Crossfire Hurricane, I was still scrolling through Craigslist looking for other opportunities to sing outside of just being in that band. I felt like I had this itch, right? Like I wanted to do more. I felt like if I could be a part of two different bands, then that's what I was going to do. So as I'm scrolling through Craigslist, I've come across this other ad about they were asking for a vocalist. There was this group, a band called Demolition Amore. And it was kind of a super group, I guess. I learned later, like a lot of the band members that formed this group were very well-seasoned musicians, like 20 plus years. Some of them had, a lot of accomplishments. Had been in multiple, other bands before, and just very good at what they do. And these guys were serious business. I mean, they're talking about, recording an album, going on tour, making some things happen, making money, So I send in my demo when I see this ad, right? And I'm just like, I don't have any experience. They're probably not going to pick me. I don't know. But whatever. I was willing to just try it because, you never know. You just never know. So I send it in. They contact me back. Unfortunately, it was one of those, thank you for submitting. You're not exactly what we were looking for, but thank you. We appreciate you submitting. Best of luck in the future. Okay, you know what? I get it. It's fine. Wasn't what they were looking for. A little bit of a downer, but whatever. It's not the end of the world, right? So I continue scrolling through Craigslist. I come across another ad. This ad was asking for the same thing, pretty much. Hey, we're a band, looking to go on tour. We're trying to make an album. Please send in your demos. I put in a different demo this time for this particular ad, and I get a call back, and they ask me to come into the studio and sing this new song that they've been working on and see where it goes. So here's kind of a funny story. When I get there, I'm talking to the guy, and it turns out that the first ad that I put in for that I got rejected for was also that same band. This was Demolition Amore. Same people, And it's funny. I think it's funny, and I'm telling you this because I got rejected the first time. And then when I sent in again, not knowing it was, another ad they had put out, I sent in a different demo, and it was that particular demo, that song that I'd sang. By the way, it was The Man Who Sold the World by David Bowie, the Nirvana version of it. That was the song that I sent in of me singing, and they were impressed by that one. That one displayed, I guess, the voice that they were looking for. The guy, the producer, he tells me, he says, man, he goes, when you sent in the first demo, it just, the sound just wasn't what we were looking for. And he goes, but when you sent in this one, we couldn't even believe it was the same guy. And he goes, but, we liked what we heard, and that's the voice we're looking for. So we called you in. So I think that's funny because I just want to say kind of a lesson learned, something that would help, I think, you guys, is to know that if you think you're not qualified for something, you read an ad and you're like, oh, it says, they want experience, or, they want you to be able to do this or that, and you just feel like that's just not something you can provide, you should still send something in. And the reason for that is because you never really know. There are times when people will make exceptions, even if it's not what they were quite looking for necessarily. Sometimes situations happen and they're just willing to make these exceptions. And that was kind of an exceptional moment, right? Like, I got denied the first time, but then I sent in a second demo. And even though I didn't know it was them I was sending it, into again, the point is, I'm just sending out stuff regardless of what the requirements are, what they're asking for necessarily, for, despite my limitations and my experience level. You never know. Try it. You might get surprised. I'm in the studio with the producer of Demolition Amore. They liked the demo that I sent in. Now they need me to sing this song. So they hand me this, the lyrics, and they're going to play the song for me. And they're like, okay, I want you to sing, into the mic, and let's see what you can do with the song. It didn't go so well. It didn't go so well. It was kind of like the first audition from the first band, the Crossfire Hurricane that I told you about. Kind of the same situation. they liked the sound of my voice, but I was struggling a little bit hitting some of the notes of the songs. And that was, of course, a huge problem. Now, they're looking to record an album, okay? This is like professional recording. So this isn't like I can go up there and just kind of get into character, and I might say something on the mic and maybe it's not quite in tune or whatever, but my performance kind of distracts the audience from that, and they can be a little forgiving because I'm just kind of putting on this show, right? It's different when you're recording. Okay, number one, they're not seeing you. There's no audience watching. These are people just strictly listening, and they can hear every detail. Okay, so if you have a hiccup or any kind of screw up, you're not hitting the note right, staying in tune, it's a problem. Okay, so unfortunately, he liked me. The guy liked me. He had expressed that he liked the sound of my voice. He thought I was a nice guy, and he appreciated me coming in, but that they're looking to move forward pretty quickly with this project. And although he felt I was kind of a diamond in the rough, they just didn't really have the time to put into helping me develop my singing. They kind of wanted somebody who's ready to go, who can come in, sing the song, and be done with it, right? And just move forward. So again, hey, look, I understand. I wasn't upset about it. Sure, I get it. No harm done, no hard feelings. It wasn't for me. So I think what happened was I don't recall exact details, but I remember him reaching out, I believe, and he invited me to come back. He says, look, I really like how you sound. What if, take the lyrics and practice this song, and I'd like for you to come back and give it another try. Wow, okay. So I was given another opportunity. Again, just to reiterate earlier, like I said, likability, good personality, giving off good vibes, passion, determination, respect, all that stuff, that goes a long way with people. So I get the invitation back. I'm excited, but I'm also scared because I was like, man, I really screwed up last time. It's really hard to hit, these notes. I'm not really sure if I can. And even if I could, I don't know if I can do it consistently. So, like I said, it was really like nerve-wracking. But long story short, after practicing my butt off, I go back there. I perform better than I did the first go around. Still not perfect, okay? It was still a bit of a struggle. I could see it in the producer's expressions in his face and his, the way he was responding to me. I could tell he was frustrated because it was like right there, just right there. Like I almost had it, but not quite. And he wanted me. I could tell he wanted me to be the guy. He's hoping that I'm the guy they've been looking for, that they need to fill this spot and be their vocalist. So he's, okay, let's re-record one more time. I do it, I screw up, and he's like, no, all right, one more time. Let's do it again. Okay, come on, Nicky, just try to, open your mouth a little more, express yourself a little more, keep your chest up, blah, blah, blah. He's giving me all these pointers. He's doing everything he can to help me in this situation. So I'm feeling bad for him. It's making me feel, more nervous because I don't want to disappoint him. My wife's with me too. She's, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of her and, let her down. It was a lot going on. But anyways, I made it through. We part ways. I go home, and not long after that, I get a call back, and it's the producer telling me if I'm still interested in doing this. I say yes, and he tells me, well, congratulations. I've talked with the band because we've decided that you are now the vocalist for Demolition Amore. And that's how I got on with that band. Unfortunately, things didn't work out as well as we had hoped with Demolition Amore. We ended up not finishing the album. I don't want to get into it, but basically, some things happened that kind of caused the project to fall apart. But we were able to record quite a bit of music. I will leave some links to some of our videos down below, so that way you can go and check them out if you'd like. I am still very proud of what we did accomplish together, and it was a heck of an experience, and I made a very good friend out of it. Me and the producer, actually. We have stayed in contact. We have worked on a lot of things together, a lot of projects. And in fact, he is now the producer of my music now, because I went on to do like a solo career. And so I'm writing my own music personally right now and recording my own personal music. And he's helping me with that. And he has become like family to me, and a very, very significant person in my career. Well, guys, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you found this video helpful and were inspired by my story, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you have anything inspiring that you'd like to share, please type it in the comments below. Well, until next time, guys, I'm Nicky Phenom. Keep rocking, follow your dreams, and believe that it can happen.